The Braves have prospered here at Turner Field all season long, and last night was another happy homecoming as Atlanta took the series opener against the Arizona Diamondbacks by a 3-2 final score. Tonight it's game 2 of this big weekend series, and the Braves try to keep things rolling tonight here in Braves country. Every heart beats true for the old red, white, and blue. It's Military Appreciation Night tonight at Turner Field. A star-spangled ceremony before the game. Our ceremonial first pitch handled by Johnny Gomes. And oh boy, what a wonderful salute to the men and women in uniform tonight as the Braves and Diamondbacks meet in game 2 of our weekend series here in Atlanta. Hi again, friends. Joe and Chip, welcome back to the ballpark, where home cooking has been just what the doctor ordered for the Braves. Atlanta has been terrific at home all year, and counting tonight's ball game, Joe, 28 home games are left.
And you like that when you know that you've got more home games left than anybody else. But the Braves have played real well at home, and the numbers bear that out, averaging right at 4 runs per game, better than on the road. And since July 1st, 12-7. Since June 9th, they've gone 18-10. Good work at home for the Atlanta Braves.
The Diamondbacks are a red-hot hitting ball club. They're looking for pitching. They've got a good one back from Tommy John surgery. Patrick Corbin gets the ball tonight.
He was a 14-game winner in 2013, but missed all of last year with Tommy John surgery. He's back, and while his numbers may not quite look like the Patrick Corbin from 2 years ago, this guy's pretty sharp. He's allowed 3 earned runs or fewer in 6 of his first 7 starts since coming back. He'll be opposed by Mike Foltynewicz. Now, Mike is coming off a good start against Miami. He only pitched into the 6th inning, but he got a win against them, and he's 4-1 at home, which is a very good mark here at Turner Field in keeping with our home road splits that we're talking about. 2 of his last 3 starts, 2 earned runs or less, and for Mike, as usual, it's all about command. We know he's going to throw hard, but where is he throwing it?
Great game last night, won by the Braves 3-2. Excellent pitching, timely hitting, and oh boy, sparkling defense. The Braves were defensive last night. Andre Aldridge will break down the great work by the Braves outfielders in game 1 of the series, and frankly all season long, as we get you set for first pitch at Atlanta tonight.
Doors, right stuff, low price every day.
It is a perfect night for baseball in Atlanta. Boy, what a wonderful day here in the capital city of the state of Georgia. Warm temperatures, low humidity. Chamber of Commerce weather for Game 2 tonight as Mike Foltynewicz continues his warm-up tosses before Game 2 tonight. Atlanta held the Diamondbacks down last night. They gave up just 2 runs on 5 hits to an Arizona team that had scored 36 runs in its previous 4 games. That's the task for Foltynewicz tonight. Ender Inciarte leads off their Academy Sports starting 9. Paul Goldschmidt does not hit well in this ballpark, surprisingly. We'll break that down for you in a little bit, as hopefully Mike Foltynewicz can pick up win number 5 here tonight.
4-3 on the year, 5.23 ERA. The thing that sticks out about Mike's numbers this year: 72 1/3 innings, 90 hits allowed, and a 307 average against a guy who throws in the upper 90s. So it's all about command for Mike, throwing strikes and hitting spots. His 4 keys to pitching success tonight. He did pitch against Arizona earlier in the year and left the game with the lead. So maybe tonight a combo. Hang on to the lead, and how about 7? How about going 7 innings? He went 5 2/3 in his last start against Miami and picked up a win. Gave up only 2 runs in those 5 2/3.
And later on tonight, Andre Aldridge will break down the great work by the Braves outfield defense. Cameron Maybin had himself a marvelous game last night in center field. A great diving catch to take away an extra base hit. And those things will be important again tonight for Mike Foltynewicz. And we'll see how the Diamondbacks approach him tonight. Ender Inciarte strides to the batter's box. He's hit safely in his last 9 starts and carries a cool 300 mark into play tonight. And we are underway. 91-mile-an-hour get me over fastball. 88 degrees. At first pitch. And a late swing at 96 by Inciarte, and quickly it's 0-2. And strike 3 called. 3 pitches, and Inciarte's retired looking. 1 down.
Well, I like this pace.
Yeah.
3 pitches per hitter. Nobody gets on base. I like the look of this.
Right now, Mike is on a pace for an 81 pitch perfect game. And he got Inciarte looking. 10 Diamondbacks were struck out last night. Here's A.J. Pollock. And a swing and a miss. Pollock having a marvelous year for Arizona. 12 homers, 50 knocked in. And he's riding a 7-game hitting streak. With all the attention that Paul Goldschmidt gets on this team, I think A.J. Pollock's good work might be overlooked by some around the National League. Shouldn't be. This guy's an excellent hitter. 6th in the league in average, 3rd in multi-hit games, 2nd in runs, 3rd in hits, 4th in stolen bases. And hitting in front of Paul Goldschmidt in Game 2 tonight.
Well, Ryan LaVarnway, welcome back to the lineup. Hasn't played in several days, but already with the second batter, he gets dinged in the mask.
In the air to center. Maybin got a late break. Diving try, can't get it. And Pollock in at second base as the throw sailed high. And he's aboard with 1 out. A hustle double for Pollock. The first hit of the night.
Cameron got a real late break on this. I think he thought it was hit better than it was. And out there in center field, maybe a little hard to pick up right now at home plate as well because of the shadows. Tough break for Foltynewicz. He made a good pitch.
27 doubles for Pollock. And here's Goldschmidt, tied for first in the league with 84 runs batted in. He had 1 last night. And inside. I was shocked to see the numbers for Paul Goldschmidt in this ballpark.
Me too. I had no idea that this was his house of horrors.
cold hard facts of it is Paul Goldschmidt struggles at Turner Field.
8 for 43. That includes a double last night. 12 strikeouts. 186 mark. Everywhere else, outstanding numbers.
Taken for a strike. It's 2-1. Goldschmidt at 340 for the year. That's the highest batting average in the National League. Slider strike. 2-2.
Well, if he can get that over tonight,
yeah.
What a bonus. That was a little high, but at least it was in the zone.
That skipped up there for a full count. Goldschmidt at 340, as I mentioned. Bryce Harper second in the league in hitting at 332. D. Gordon and Buster Posey at 329. Those are the top 4 hitters in the senior circuit. Swing and a miss. He took a little off, and Goldschmidt swung right through it. 2 down.
Like another slider. Wasn't a very good one again. Almost a backup slider.
But I would think, Joe, as hard as Mike throws, even if he doesn't throw a good slider, it's enough to give the hitters a lot of problems.
Yeah, especially up and in like that. That was a good place to make a mistake.
So runner at second, 2 outs for David Peralta, the Arizona left fielder. And he strokes one into center field, a hit. Maben got to it quickly. Runner around third. Throw coming home. It's off target and cut off. And it's 1-0 Arizona on a David Peralta RBI single.
Fastball out away from him. Just put the bat on it. Didn't swing overly hard. Thought Cameron was going to have a play here, but he was making a throw to Swisher, not to home plate.
So 61 RBIs for Peralta. Arizona has struck first, and that brings up Aaron Hill. Hill appeared last night as a pinch hitter.
The unfortunate part for Fulte is that ball dropped in that Pollock hit. Should have been an easy out. And instead it turns into a run.
No Nick Ahmed in the lineup tonight for the Diamondbacks. That gives Aaron Hill a chance to play second. Chris Owens moves over to shortstop. They really do have a lot of interchangeable parts on the infield and in the outfield for this Diamondback club. Last year Hill hit 10 homers in 133 games, batted .244. Had a lot of good years with the Toronto Blue Jays. And that one line foul at third. 2 balls and a strike.
He's throwing a couple of fastballs, like the first one of the ball game, in the 92 range. And I don't know if he's trying to throw a cutter or if he's just a 2-seamer to get just something a little different.
Hill was fooled there. Even count. And that's out of play. We'll do it again. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Arizona got Aaron Hill in 2011. John McDonald and Aaron Hill for Kelly Johnson.
This is a good spot to go upstairs. See if you chase something up out of the zone. Slider instead.
I'll bet he's thrown more sliders in this inning than he has in his last 2 starts combined.
I agree.
Jake Lamb is on deck. Now the payoff pitch to Aaron Hill is coming. And it's a line drive left. Peralta around second. He's going to streak to third and make it without a throw. And Arizona has men at the corners with 2 outs.
Two comes back with the fastball, knee high at a lot of the plate.
I think we're seeing why Mike wants to throw a few more sliders. This is an excellent fastball hitting team.
They are indeed. He's just having to work harder here in the first inning, and it has been a problem for him in the past. But in my view, should have been a 3-up and 3-down inning were it not for the misjudged pop-up.
So here's Lamb. He takes high. Foltynewicz has allowed his 9th first inning run this year. He needs to put the brakes on anything else for the D-backs right here. Lamb with 27 RBIs and a .279 mark.
Two 2-0, 3-1, typically automatic fastball pitches and counts for him.
He got one, but Lamb grounds out to second, and that will retire the side. 1 run, 3 hits. A bloop double turns into the game's first run, and we head to the home first. Freddie Gonzalez's Academy Sports and Outdoors starting lineup. Jace Peterson leads things off. Maben and Markakis to follow. Gomes cleans up. Garcia at third base. Swisher, Simmons, Lavarnway, the Piston. Batting in the 8th spot, Mike Foltynewicz 9th, and Patrick Corbin, a nice story, coming back from Tommy John surgery for Arizona.
Patrick Corbin is 6'3", 210 pounds, originally from Clay, New York. Lives now in Scottsdale, 26 years old. And this is his 8th start. Those are his numbers since he came back, and you can see a real good strikeout to walk ratio. He only walked 1 in his last start against Cincinnati, which he got a no decision. 6 innings, 3 runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts.
It's just a couple of short years ago that Patrick Corbin was an all-star with the Diamondbacks. In 2013, this young man was 11-1 at the All-Star break. As that ball's hammered to deep center. Still going back. And at the wall, it's hauled in by A.J. Pollock. One pitch, one very long out.
Thought he got it. Jumping on the first one from Corbin. Fastball down the middle.
I think Corbin thought he got him too.
Yeah, only 1 homer allowed to a lefty so far.
Corbin 11-1 at the All-Star break 2 years ago. Tommy John surgery cost him the entire season last year. And he returned on the 4th of July this year for Arizona.
91 fastball there. That's about where he sits. 91 to 94 with a slider and a change.
High hopper up the middle, and Hill can't get it. Cameron Maybin has his 3rd hit of the series. And he's 6 for 9 against Arizona pitching so far this year. 1 on, 1 out.
Right off the plate, nobody can track it down. Cameron's got a good run going against the Diamondbacks from his days in San Diego. Came in with a .400 average against them over his last 21 games.
A rare offer for Nick Markakis last night.
Yeah, he's mad.
How can you tell?
Was it 20 out of 21 he had hit in, something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, just look at him. Look at his face. Angry. Wait till he gets a base hit. He'll get 2 hits tonight.
Oh,
we'll show you his happy face.
Man. 1 ball, no strikes. Good lead by Maybin at first. And fly ball to left. That'll be playable for Peralta. And he's got it, 2 down. Here's Johnny Gomes. Johnny walked twice, popped out once, and grounded out once last night. A hit and 2 outs for Corbin on 6 pitches. See if Johnny can make him work. Left foot at the very front of the batter's box. And taken outside, ball 1. Dan Bellino's our home plate umpire, by the way, tonight. He's out of Wilmette, Illinois. And he's got a law degree.
Does he really?
1-0 pitch. Earned his law degree from John Marshall Law School in Chicago, and while he was working toward his law degree, he found out about the Harry Wendelstedt umpiring school, and the rest is history.
Good for him.
1 ball, 1 strike. And that's very important for the managers to know, because you don't want to argue with him. You're probably not going to win.
Yes, that's a bad guy to debate.
He had a great line in a story about 11 years ago. He said, Major League Baseball rulebook is 80 pages. That's one night's reading in law school. One ball, 2 strikes for Johnny Gomes. Mike Fultonevich down 1-0 here in the first. Now 2-2. We've been told that Corbin is on a pitch limit. They won't let him pitch much past 90, 95. as he's coming back from Tommy John. The most he's thrown this year is 89 pitches.
And that was in a 7-inning stint. Got beat by Milwaukee 2-1. Struck out 10.
So 10 strikeouts, and he threw 89 pitches. That's pretty impressive. Two balls, two strikes. And over the inside corner, Gomes was frozen. No argument. And the counselor rings up Johnny Gomes. 1-0 Arizona. We head to the top of the second. Commandos made a parachute jump before the ball game, and this is their GoPro bird's eye view of the jump and the pinpoint landing here at Turner Field.
That's awesome.
Did you do that?
Not again. I mean, that one time was enough.
That's our key play of the game. I have so much respect for those men and women who can do that, but there's no way.
Nope. Well, the one thing that I have to worry about here is light poles in the outfield.
Yeah, that's true.
They can't get hung up.
Jared Saltalamacchia leads off. And he drives one toward right. Markakis chased back to the track, feels for the wall, and makes the grab up against the scoreboard. Saltalamacchia flies out, one man down.
First pitch swinging, fastball at the knees down the middle. They may have to adjust on that first pitch because that's what Peralta jumped on also.
So Chris Owings, the batter, he's got hits in 4 of his last 5 games. The hitless game came last night. He was 0 for 3, and he didn't get a fastball. Swing and a miss.
Good hook there. Right over the top.
Another chance in right for Markakis. In the shadows now. He's got it. 2 outs. Mike could use an easy inning, and I think your point about the bloop double is worth repeating. It cost him a run, but also a ton of extra pitches.
Yeah, he threw 24 pitches in the first inning. But if that pop-up had been caught, and after he struck out Goldschmidt, he'd only thrown 13 pitches. So it cost him an extra 11.
He's got the pitcher up with a chance for a quick and easy top of the second. And he's quickly ahead of Corbin. No balls, 2 strikes. Nice catch by a fan right behind the Arizona dugout. And Fulte didn't waste any time. 3 up, 3 down very quickly. Let's see if the Braves can get things evened up. 1-0. Diamondbacks in the second.
Treatment and a couple of days off, and I was starting to feel good, and just getting the reps in. I've been swinging for about 6 or 7 days now. I'm playing the last couple of games. I'm 100% healthy, so I haven't felt this good in August in a few years, so it's definitely a nice feeling.
And indeed, that's the good news for Braves country. Freddie Freeman 100%, although he's not eligible to come off the DL until Wednesday when we're in San Diego, but actually put a couple of balls out the park in center field, so he can't get the ball out the park in the Gulf Coast League, he said, but he hit a couple home runs in batting practice today, Chip.
All right, Andre, thank you very much. And Freddie Freeman's going to be the true traveling man, is he not? In Atlanta today, Columbus, Toledo, then he's going to fly to San Diego, play 1 game there, and then head all the way back to Chicago for a 4-game series with the Cubs starting Thursday. He doesn't mind at all as long as he gets ready to play. That's what he wants. Yeah, he had a big smile on his face today taking batting practice. Tonight's game 116 for the Braves. Freddie Freeman has played in 76 games. He has been missed. Donis Garcia leads off the second. Think about that. Your biggest home run threat in your ball club has missed a quarter of your season. And despite that, is the only Brave in double digits in home runs. Garcia's hit 4 homers. And a line drive, foul at third. 4 homers in 72 at bats for Adonis, who's batting .250 on the year. And that slider, which was a big part of Corbin's repertoire, makes its first appearance. He strikes out Garcia with it, his second strikeout of the night.
Well, that was a beauty. I'll say the same thing about him. If he can put this pitch in that back foot like that all night long, it'll be a tough night for right-handed hitters.
Nick Swisher's 1 for 15, or 1 for 14, I beg your pardon, as a Brave with a couple of RBIs. And takes a letter high strike. On this military appreciation night, the Braves have their red uniform tops with the cursive script, the stars, blue lettering. quickly 0-2 to Swisher. Fastball got him at 94. That's 3 strikeouts in a row for Corbin. 2 out.
Four-seamer. Aired it out. 94. Two years ago, before he got hurt, 32 starts, 14-8 with a 3.41 ERA, and right at 208 innings. See, not very many walks in that stretch either. 54 walks. So to say that he was missed last year would be an understatement. Outstanding year.
And so building strength this season and hopeful of becoming a dominant top of the rotation guy for Arizona next year. Something that their folks have told us they really need. They need pitching to supplement this really good young offensive ball club, and young is an operative word for Arizona like it is the Braves. Youngest group of offensive players in the game. Braves have the youngest pitching staff.
This guy could get probably another 6 or 8 starts, and that would be terrific for him and for the team heading into next season.
He just walked Andrelton Simmons with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Ryan Lavarnway. Simmons, the second Braves base runner.
You take a freebie from him anytime. I'm anxious to see Ryan's at bats tonight. Again, he hasn't played in a while. Expect him to be rusty, but one thing he's been working hard on is trying to hit the ball the other way. And I'm not kidding you. Yesterday and today, his batting practice under the watchful eye of Kevin Seitzer was outstanding, hitting the ball to right center field with authority.
Ball 1 downstairs for Ryan Lavarnway. He's done an excellent job backing up A.J. Przinsky behind the plate. Lavarnway hitting .270 for the year. He's knocked in 5 runs. Something else you notice about Corbin, he is not afraid to pitch on the inner half, is he?
No. No, and that makes his changeup that much more effective to right-handers.
One ball, 2 strikes.
And he's keeping it down, his fastball down.
That was tipped and caught, and Corbin struck out the side. He has struck out 4 Braves through 2 innings. He leads 1-0 as we move to the 3rd.
pretty cool. Listen to this. Secure your seats for opening day in 2016 exclusively through the 2016 opening day 4-game plan. Now, this plan comes with tickets to opening day next year, along with 3 great weekend matchups this year against the Yankees, the Mets, and the Cardinals. This is a limited time offer, so get your 2016 opening day 4-game plan at Braves.com/4game today.
Always a treat to see the Yankees and Brian McCann. They'll be coming to town in a couple of weeks. We salute that gentleman's service. Semper Fi indeed on Military Appreciation Night.
Thank you, sir.
Field.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mike Foltynewicz ready to go in the top of the 3rd inning. He trails 1-0. Ender Inciarte struck out on 3 pitches and hits the first one up the middle. Peterson to his right. And Swisher dug it out at first. Good play.
Throw on the run and nice pick by Nick. Well done.
So Inciarte's made 2 outs on 4 pitches, and here's Pollock. And that's inside. Mentioned the Yankees a moment ago. They won again today. They beat Toronto 4-1 at Rogers Center. Yankees trying to avenge a sweep at the hands of the Jays last weekend.
Might be able to turn the trick themselves tomorrow.
Right.
Mark Teixeira had a big day today.
So the Yankees a 1.5 games in front now. It's Severino and Hutchinson tomorrow in Toronto.
Can't believe the Mariners scored 10 runs today against the Red Sox.
Well, that's good news for Seattle fans.
Yeah, Nelson Cruz went deep again, his 35th.
However, when you give up 22, chances are you're going to have a rough time.
22-10.
The Red Sox have scored 37 runs in the last 2 games against the Mariners. My, oh my. Another chance for Jace Peterson. And a better throw to first that time. Got Pollock easily. 2 outs. By the way, we mentioned it last night. Really wish the best for John Farrell, the Red Sox manager, diagnosed with lymphoma. He has taken a leave of absence from the team. Torey Lovullo is going to manage in his absence. And Farrell and the Red Sox are hopeful he'll be back in time and ready to go in spring training. Farrell said yesterday that he has an extremely treatable form of lymphoma.
Good.
Hope that's the case and hope he's able to come back better than ever. This is how you want to face Paul Goldschmidt. Base is empty. Pulte fooled him with a couple of high sliders and then struck him out swinging.
Started him with a 98 fastball in the outside corner. And he's working quickly.
That one at 99 miles an hour. Wow. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Look out. That ball hammered into the stands beyond the Braves dugout. A very late swing by Goldschmidt. And back to the screen. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
As we saw there and as we saw in the first inning, he has a hard time laying off that pitch up and in. And way to go right back upstairs.
That's a couple of foul balls off the mask of Lavarnway in the early going tonight. Bases empty, 2 outs, 2-2 pitch. Struck him out again. Goldschmidt down on strikes for a second time in as many at bats, and Fulte's retired 7 straight. He'll lead off the Atlanta third next. Mike Fultonevich are tonight's starters. Time for our AT&T Universe trivia question. Patrick Corbin had 178 strikeouts in 2013. Name the last Diamondback pitcher with a 200 or better strikeout season.
Oh man, that's
got trick question.
It does. That's got a sucker bet on it of some kind. Think of Johnson and Schilling automatically.
High hopper hit towards short. Cut off by Lamb at third. Nice play. And Fultonevich is retired for out number 1.
Lamb kind of corralled that one, kind of pinned it before he was able to grab it. Tough play.
Jace Peterson swung at the first pitch and drove it to the center field fence. But he was retired by A.J. Pollock for the first Atlanta out of the night. On the way, congratulations to Randy Johnson. We had John Smoltz in the booth on the homestand. Randy Johnson, part of the Hall of Fame class with the Braves right-hander. Randy Johnson went in as the first Diamondback in the Hall of Fame. And a swing and a miss. Corbin's got everything working right now. That's his 5th strikeout. He had 5 and 6 innings against the Reds last time out.
That was a good breaking ball. Threw it at the middle of the plate and then had it break down and away. That's the same breaking ball that he threw to Garcia for the strikeout. A back foot slider to right-handers, that time off the plate to a left-hander.
The records for Randy Johnson as a Diamondback are really remarkable. Randy Johnson made 232 starts through 38 complete games. His as this one's hit towards second. In 1,600 innings, he struck out over 2,000 men.
Wow.
As a Diamondback. An amazing career. Corbin's having an amazing game. 6 pitches, 3 more outs, and he leads heading to the 4th inning.
TNT Uverse, Delta Airlines, and your local Ford dealer.
1-0 Arizona. 3 brisk innings in the books tonight in Atlanta. And a reminder for you fans, field passes for the free Sam Hunt post-game concert on Thursday, October 1st are now on sale. A field pass is the only way to be on the field in front of the stage for the show. Those tickets are sure to go quickly. Get yours now at Braves.com/Sam Hunt today. Nice crowd on a perfect Saturday night in Atlanta. Mike Foltynewicz has set down 7 straight. And he's got the 4, 5, 6 hitters for the Diamondbacks coming up. David Peralta has the lone RBI in the game. And he just drove one deep to right field, and he's got both of them. That's a long homer. It's 2-0 Arizona. Peralta's 12th of the year.
Curveball coming into the left-handed hitter. And it is, you said last night, Chip, a converted pitcher. Belt high and belted.
So Peralta with hits in 8 of his last 9 games, 16 hits in that stretch. And I think it's safe to say, Joe, that a lingering concern for Mike Foltynewicz is the home run ball. That's 15 home runs that Mike has allowed now in 75 innings this year. That's a lot.
Fastball, curveball pitchers give up a lot of homers. They also strike out a lot of guys, but if that curveball is not sharp, if it's hanging, if it's not breaking down out of the zone, it will get hit and hit off and out of the ballpark because they're already geared up for the fastball.
So a leadoff homer in the 4th for the Diamondbacks. Aaron Hill bats and takes a little low. He's aboard with a walk. First base on balls allowed by Foltynewicz, and Jake Lamb is coming up. Lamb, the Diamondbacks minor league player of the year last year. Out of the University of Washington, 6th round pick in 2012. He fits right in with their offensive player profiles. Young, talented hitters. And he scorches one over second for a hit. Hill stops at second. And Saltalamacchia hits with 2 on and nobody out.
Got to get the ball down and out of the middle of the plate.
Mike could use a ground ball off Saltalamacchia's bat. He drove a ball to deep right his first time up. And took a strike. Saltalamacchia played in 9 games with the Marlins, and then they flat out released him May 7th. Arizona signed him the very next day, and here he is.
Almost didn't recognize Jared. His hair all cut off. You moved to Phoenix, you better trim it up a little. What was it, 117 there yesterday? Yowie.
1 ball, 1 strike. Popped out foul. It's 1-2. The Diamondbacks won't have to worry about the home heat for a while. They're just starting a long 3-city road trip. 1 more game with the Braves tomorrow, then they head to Pittsburgh for 3 games, and then a 4-game set in Cincinnati against the Reds. They're back home August 24th with 4 against the Cardinals. And to the seats goes the bat. If everybody's all right, Saltalamacchia will get a new WAR club and a count of 1-2.
And I think the bat hit an empty seat first before a fan was able to grab it.
I'm hoping that fan said, I need a towel to wipe the pine tar off my hands.
Could be. Oh, maybe it did catch somebody. Quick attention to that.
One ball, 2 strikes. That one's golfed toward right. Markakis on the run. Good running catch. Hill is going to tag, and he's going to move up to third base with 1 man out. Good running catch by Markakis. If that falls, another run's in.
Maybe 2. He's that close, Saltalamacchia, to being 2 for 2 with a couple of extra base hits.
Looks like that bat in the stands might have gotten a young fan who's being carried out for medical attention here at the ballpark. I don't know where baseball studies are with regards to the nets and fan safety, but already tonight a laser beam foul ball in the stands and a couple of bats. Out of play, foul ball, strike 1 to Chris Owings.
Got the 8th hitter up there, and then the pitcher. Need to get after these 2 guys and get out of the inning. Owings a strikeout and 3 fly ball outs in the series so far.
He's your 3rd best bet for a double play ball. He's hitting to 8 of them this year. Pollock's first on that list with 13. Goldschmidt second with 10. Let me correct that. Tomas is second with 12. Goldschmidt's got 10. You see Tomas at the bottom of the list there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Haven't seen Tomas in this series yet. Maybe tomorrow.
Another one of those interchangeable parts you mentioned earlier. Play the outfield or third.
And he had a good series against the Braves out in the desert. 2-0 Diamondbacks. A first inning run on a Peralta single. A solo home run has made it 2. Shot to third. Relay to second run. Safe at first. A run is in. Notice had a little trouble getting it out of his glove. Hill scores the second run of the inning. Lamb's forced out. Owings gets his 32nd RBI.
Just couldn't quite dig it out to get it started. It was a double clutch, and that was all that Owings needed to beat it out. Good turn by Jace. Good stretch. Just couldn't get it started quick enough.
So 2 runs are in the inning. And 2 men are out for Patrick Corbin, who whiffed his first time up. And a swing and a miss retires the side. A leadoff homer, a walk, and then the ground out brings home a third Arizona run, and they now lead 3-0 here in the 4th. Atlanta and turned back the clock 15 years ago. That doesn't seem possible, does it? Ted Turner and Dale Murphy were inducted into the Braves Hall of Fame. August 15th, 2000.
That does not seem possible. Goodness.
So Patrick Corbin staked to a 3-run lead after 3.5 innings. He'll have Markakis, Gomes, and Adonis Garcia coming up for the Braves. Atlanta has 1 hit. It was Cameron Maben's chopper off the plate in the opening inning. Corbin's been terrific. 5 strikeouts in his first 3 innings. 35 pitches to get the first 9 outs. And he delivers a strike to Markakis. 2-1. We're still thinking about that last Diamondback pitcher with a 200 strikeout season. As this ball's hit off the fists to second base, and Markakis is retired for out number 1.
Thinking maybe Ian Kennedy. I mean, he had a great year the year they went to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious you're thinking Randy Johnson,
yeah,
Kurt Schilling, but then you guess an Ian Kennedy or somebody like that, and then find out it's Randy Johnson. So we'll ponder it for a little.
Sinker baller. What was his name?
Brandon Webb.
Yeah.
Cy Young winner, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's an excellent guess. Kind of like that one as Gomes swung through it. That's a shame about Brandon Webb.
Oh,
he was
man.
such a good pitcher.
Whew.
And a perfect guy for their ballpark. I mean, it's a great hitter's park, Chase Field in Phoenix. To have a guy like Brandon Webb who could pitch in that hot, dry air and get the ball on the ground consistently, and in that division. Johnny tied up. Got him on the inner half, looking his first time up.
Johnny's really diving into the plate, and when he does, pitchers are going to try to pitch him inside to tie him up.
Smothered behind the plate by Saltalamacchia. 2 balls, 2 strikes. To third. Lamb gave ground. And a strong and accurate arm is shown for second out.
That was a good throw.
If I'm reading this right, the last time the Braves saw Patrick Corbin was in May of 2013. He went 7 scoreless innings. He had 10 career innings against the Braves with no earned runs. So he's up to almost 14 career innings with a 0 ERA against Atlanta offense. And a comebacker. Corbin has everything working tonight. A 10-pitch inning. He had 3 outs on 6 pitches in the third. He's rolling. He leads 3-0, and we go to the 5th.
Good ones.
Fans having a good time tonight despite the 3-0 Arizona lead as Foltynewicz begins the 5th with Ender Inciarte leading off.
He was working quickly and Inciarte made him hang on a second.
That's in the air and out of play to left. Ender Inciarte, another fine player from Maracaibo, Venezuela. Was originally signed by the Diamondbacks as a free agent in 2008. The Phillies took him in the Rule 5 draft after the 2012 season. And then he was returned to the Diamondbacks in April of 2013. And he's got his 6th Arizona hit.
He's fought off a 97 fastball. And leading off an inning, he's got 11 stolen bases. High target, but it wasn't high. It was up and in and probably broke his bat. But enough of it to get a hit.
And that sends A.J. Pollock to the plate. His bloop double turned into a heavy workload for Foltynewicz in the first. And the first run of the game. 1 ball, no strikes.
Yeah, you're right about this guy being underrated and under the radar, and especially with another center fielder out west in Anaheim and all the attention Jock Peterson gets for the Dodgers.
That one's up the middle too. Back-to-back hits, 2 on, nobody out. Well, last year Pollock played just 75 games. He was on the disabled list June 1st to September 2nd with a fractured right hand. Despite missing that much time, Joe, he hit .302, drove in 24, scored 41 runs, and did that in 75 games.
It's good work, isn't it? And he can really go get him in center.
He was asked by a couple of the Arizona writers after the game last night, hey, if Arizona offered you a long-term deal, would you like to stay? And he said yes. That's on the heels of Dave Stewart a couple of days ago saying he hopes to make Paul Goldschmidt a Diamondback for life. And here is Goldschmidt. He struck out twice. And that one is looped over second. That's in for a hit. And Inciarte had to hold up, and back-to-back singles load the bases for the Diamondbacks in the 5th inning.
And none of them hit hard. Just hit in the right place.
So a big opportunity for David Peralta. He's already got a couple of RBIs tonight, and he's our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot feature.
Since the 1st of August, first in the National League in average, second in on-base percentage, first in hits. And he's had a big night already tonight, a single, a home run, 2 RBIs. He got a hanging breaking ball his last time up, leading off the 4th inning. And kept it fair.
12th home run for Peralta. And a very long meeting with Roger McDowell and Mike Foltynewicz. Roger buying some extra time for the Braves bullpen.
Edwin Jackson just signed yesterday. Might be his first action.
And if it is, he'll be the 55th different player to appear for the Braves this year, far and away a franchise record. Put that in perspective, Atlanta used 39 players all last season. And it's not September 1st yet. So a big mess. Let's see how Folty manages the inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. Cleanup hitter up. And that was tipped. Good pitch, good result. Strike 1.
Yeah, it took a little off, almost like a straight change there. Peralta aggressive early in the count again.
In the air to center. Maven on the run is going to get there. Inciarte will tag and score. Pollock will tag at second and move to third. It's sacrifice fly, and Arizona's lead is now 4-0.
David Peralta just showed you how strong he is. He was fooled. Top hand came off the bat, and he made Maven back up to catch this. I don't even think it was a strike. That was an odd spin on that pitch.
Well, if Mike can get a ground ball, he could get out of the inning. That's why I used the term I did. Manage the inning.
Yeah.
You can live with one. You're down 4-0. But a couple more runs, it's going to be awfully tough the way Corbin's pitching tonight. No balls, one strike. Hammered to right. Markakis has to retreat. He'll make the catch. Pollock will tag and score. Back-to-back sac flies for the Diamondbacks. 2 runs in the fourth, 2 in the fifth. It's 5-0 Arizona.
They came into this series as the leading sacrifice fly hitting team in the National League. They get 2 back-to-back here.
So Chip Hale's club held down last night. 2 runs on 5 hits. Back to their old tricks tonight. Previous 4 games before this series started, they had 63 hits and 36 runs. And had 4 consecutive games with 15 or more hits. They've got 5 runs, 8 hits tonight, and they're not through with the 5th inning. Taken low to Jake Lamb. 1 ball, no strikes. Standings in the West. Arizona 2 games under 500. They're 8 games behind the Dodgers. Diamondbacks are 10 games back for the 2nd National League wild card. They're trying to chase down the Cubs, who just won't lose. Cubs have won 7 straight and 13 of 14 ball games. They're tied with the White Sox tonight. And a line drive headed for the right field corner. That stayed fair. Goldschmidt around second, on his way to third. He's going to get waved. Lamb around second is going to be stopped there. It's a double. And the Diamondbacks have a 3-run 5th inning and lead by 6.
That's going to do it for Fulte. Watching Goldschmidt run around the bases, though, again, he's not just your first baseman slugger. 2 outs, naturally, he can take off with the crack of the bat and scored relatively easily. But I was watching him run and cut the corners on the bags. Big guy can run, and he's got 19 stolen bases.
Arizona's having a big night tonight. They lead 6-0. And they've chased Mike Foltynewicz here in the top of the 5th.
Right stuff, low price every day.
Back in Atlanta, it's all Diamondbacks. 6-0 they lead as Arizona continues to hit here in the top of the 5th inning. And we wish you a hearty welcome to the pride of Columbus, Georgia, Edwin Jackson, who makes his Atlanta debut tonight.
This guy's been with a lot of ball clubs. He's been around a while. He knows how to pitch. 31 years old, 6'3", 210. Doing a good job for the Cubs out of the bullpen this year. 3.19 ERA in 31 innings. There were rumors last year that the Braves were going to acquire him from the Cubs for Tommy La Stella, and that deal actually, or was it rumored to be Mike Minor? Whichever it was, it didn't happen.
And it was B.J. Upton too.
And B.J. Upton was going to go to the Cubs. That's right.
So there you see what Edwin Jackson did out of the bullpen with the Cubs. Way back when, in 2003, Jackson debuted as a 19-year-old with the Dodgers. He's pitched in L.A. with Tampa Bay, the Tigers, a year with Arizona, the White Sox, the Cardinals, the Nationals, and the Cubs. He has stuff.
That was nasty. He's always thrown hard. And I've heard other managers from other teams say, you know, if they had Edwin Jackson on their team, this is when he was in the rotation with the Cubs, they would put him in the bullpen because he can pitch almost every day. He's that strong, and his arm bounces back that quickly.
And he just took care of Saltalamacchia on 3 pitches to put out a 5th inning fire. 3 more runs across for the Diamondbacks. Now Atlanta's got to get something done against Patrick Corbin. Welcome to Atlanta, Edwin Jackson. It's 6-0 D-backs.
A 6-0 deficit. More important, it's Military Heroes Night. Although every day should be Military Heroes Day, actually. And you see Johnny Gomes a little bit earlier taking the first pitch after batting practice. And Johnny Gomes really lives this, believes this, definitely believes every day should be Military Heroes Day. He said he came to a real fork in the road in his life because back in 2001, when he was an 18th round draft choice, he didn't know he had got drafted until 3 days after the draft. So it wasn't just our Joe Simpson that found out a little bit later. And Johnny really thought that he was going into the military. So he says whenever he can interact, he always thinks that he could be any of the military people that he talks to. And that's why they are always on his mind. But they should be on all of our minds all the time, as we all know.
Absolutely, Andre. I talked to Johnny about that before the ball game, about that draft situation. He said, yeah, I had 2 contracts sitting on the kitchen table. One for the Marines and one for the Tampa Bay Rays. He said, I actually thought they made a mistake because my brother that's a year older, his name is Joey Gomes, was all-world, all-American junior college player, played at Santa Clara. And he said, I really thought they thought I was him when they drafted me.
Really? So special night tonight. And I agree with you too, Andre. That's an excellent sentiment. As Nick Swisher leads off against Patrick Corbin, who can fill up the strike zone now. He's got a 6-0 lead. He's got a 1-hitter brewing. He set down the last 7 in order. He has struck out 5 men. Boy, this is a great sight for the Diamondbacks. Swisher rolls it foul.
Yeah, I was just looking at the guys that have been in the rotation this year, and De La Rosa, who will pitch here tomorrow, has had a terrific year. He's 10-5, albeit an ERA of 4.5. But between Corbin and De La Rosa, that's a good start for next year for what they want to do, and that is add to the rotation.
Ground ball towards short. And Owings gets his man. 1 man down. The Diamondbacks have a very lucrative television contract that kicks in next year. And it has been mentioned that they will have dollars to spend in what should be an excellent free agent pitching market. I don't know if Zach Greinke would want to pitch in the desert, or David Price, or Jordan Zimmerman, but those are just 3 names that they could possibly consider. If
Johnny Cueto.
Johnny Cueto. So if it's a buyer's market, boy, Arizona might be in a prime spot to get the pick of the litter as far as top of the line starting pitchers.
Naturally, everybody looks at contracts and they want to know what kind of terms they can get. But I would think that most pitchers would want to know who's playing behind them too. And the way this team plays defense and the way they score runs, I think that would be attractive to just about any starting pitcher.
Just 54 errors this season committed by the Arizona defense. And as we've said, their offensive core the youngest in the game. Kind of like what the Cubs have done. The Diamondbacks have built around young offensive players while they waited for Patrick Corbin and the like to come back from injury. And he has another comebacker to take care of Anderson Simmons. 2 outs. 9 up, 9 down for the Diamondbacks left-hander.
Doesn't exactly square himself up to the plate, but he recovers in time to. He's made 2 nice plays on comebackers.
That'll bring up Ryan Lavarnway. Lavarnway struck out to end the Braves' second. Ball 1.
I was talking to a scout tonight about pitcher fielding practice and the gaffe that happened down in Tampa Bay with unable to touch the bag with Matt Marksberry and forgetting about the runner at second, etc. And the scout said, you know, what good does fielding practice do anymore? Pitcher fielding practice. You know, if you watch the drill, they usually throw a fake pitch and then square up to the mound. He said, how many pitchers do you see square up to home plate anymore on their follow through? Everybody's falling off one side or the other.
Well, I know it drives you crazy to see the state of outfield play in general in Major League Baseball. As that ball is cracked and fair off the chalk down the left field line. Lavarnway chugging for second. He'll stand there with the Braves' second hit.
Well, that wasn't hit to right center, but that was smoked. First hit for the Braves since the first inning. Down and in. Dropped the barrel on him. That thing hooked.
So the Piston has his 4th double. Pardon, 5th double for Lavarnway. And he's at second with 2 outs. But if I were commissioner for a day, that's something that I would insist happen at least once a homestand. Infield practice, outfield practice, PFP. Let fans see what infield looked like. Something that's all but vanished in the game now. As a kid, used to come to the game and see that almost every day.
Yeah, no fielding practice. That's not going to happen. You're not going to get pitchers out there in the middle of the summer to do that. But infield and outfield, yeah, certainly wouldn't hurt the outfielders to throw more than they throw now.
1 ball, no strikes. And bounced by Jackson to third. Nice pick. Perfect throw. And that's the inning. Off we go to the 6th inning. Edwin Jackson will go back to work. It's 6-0 Arizona.
Do this. The Georgia Lottery. And your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places.
Joe and Chip with you from Atlanta tonight. All Arizona. They lead 6-0 in Game 2. Patrick Corbin has been dazzling. So was Warren Spahn on this date in 1955 at Sportsman's Park. Warren Spahn hit a home run and a triple in his 12-1 complete game victory over the Cardinals. Warren Spahn hit 35 homers in his 21-year big league career, and with that homer in St. Louis, had hit a homer in every National League ballpark.
And it's not true that Warren was the model for that logo. But what a hitter he was for a pitcher.
"60 years ago today." Wow. Here's Chris Owings facing Edwin Jackson. 8-9-1 up for the Diamondbacks as we hit the 6th inning. All one. Pirates lead the Mets tonight 3-0. That game's in the 6th inning in New York. Sharply hit. Jace Peterson's got it. Owings is the first out. Aramis Ramirez playing first base, I believe, tonight, has hit a home run. Pittsburgh's got very big concerns about Pedro Alvarez and his work defensively in Pittsburgh.
Plus, the Pirates were getting Josh Harrison back, who could play third.
Right.
And take it easy, make it a little easier on not Pedro, but Ramirez to move over to first base. Maybe give him a little extra playing time over there.
And you can get Gong into the game to play third or short if you have to. Jordy Mercer is still out for the Pirates.
Yeah.
As they're trying to hold off the Cubs for the top wild card spot in the National League Central. And the way it's looking right now, both wild cards are coming from the Central. There really isn't a safety net for the Giants and the Nationals right now. The second place teams out west and in the east. In fact, if you looked at the standings, the Cubs, who are in third place in the National League Central, would be in first place in every other division but two.
Giants got whacked again last night. I'm sorry, the Nationals did, by the Giants, and beat up on Scherzer.
He did not have a good game at all. 8-5 was the final last night. Nationals have lost 11 of 15 games.
Good work here by Edwin.
He's retired the first 3 he's seen, a couple of them via strikeout. back to the top of the order, and Inciarte, who had the first of 3 straight 5th inning singles. All of those singles ended up scoring against Mike Foltynewicz. Alex Wood got a win last night. He made his home debut for the Dodgers and beat Cincinnati and John Lamb, who was one of the youngsters who came over in the Cueto deal. Ground ball to second. Inciarte is an easy out. Jackson's cruising. He's retired 4 straight. Top of the order up for Atlanta. 6-0 D-backs. We salute another hometown hero, that Staff Sergeant Robert Lee Lunsford of the United States Marine Corps. That gentleman was awarded the Silver Star. That never gets old. We've said it so many times, the fans who shake hands and say thank you and appreciate the sacrifices and service of gentlemen and women like Staff Sergeant Lunsford. Spine tingling here in Atlanta.
Sure is.
Amazing. Just amazing. Top 3 hitters up for the Braves against Patrick Corbin here in the 6th inning. Atlanta with just 2 hits. And he is up and down, in and out. And looking like the All-Star he was 2 years ago. And he just struck out Peterson for a second time. That gives Corbin 6 of them in the game.
Another good sequence to Jace, too. 2 curveballs, then a changeup, just a straight change. This is the last one. That was a breaking ball, beg your pardon. It was a slider. 2 slow curveballs to start him.
Cameron Maybin's 1 for 2. And that's a little low. 1 ball, no strikes.
There were 2 fly balls hit to the outfield in the first inning. Jace Peterson backed Pollock up to the center field wall. Looked like he had hit a homer, and it barely stayed in the park. Braves have not hit a fly ball to the outfield since.
Wow. 65 pitches, 1 out in the 6th.
You can see with his command, though, Chip, how he's able to work this strikeout to walk ratio that he has. He's walked 1 tonight, 6 strikeouts. Came into the game with 8 total against 35 Ks.
Up the middle. He'll dive, scrambled to his feet, and made a gorgeous play. There's the Arizona defense. The ball was headed for center field, but Hill cut it off to Rob Maben. 2 out.
That was an outstanding play. And as soon as he got that right foot on the ground, he was throwing.
Base is empty for Markakis with 2 outs. And just missed 1 ball and no strikes.
He's really only had 1 rough outing, and that came against the Nationals. And he only went an inning and a third, gave up 6 hits and 2 walks, 2 of his 8 walks in that game.
How many starts had he made off the DL?
5.
5?
That was his 6th.
There's a lot to like with the way he's pitching tonight. Again, he has not yet allowed an earned run to the Braves in his career. Foul away. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, with that breaking stuff, when he wants to, he can go to 92, 93 in case you're looking for the off-speed stuff.
Nine groundouts, 6 strikeouts. This ball's hit in the air. Peralta will chase it, won't have a play, and a fan from Mesa botched the fly ball. Ooh. Two and 2.
Yeah, I picked up the error. Way to go.
Popped up. Long run. And a fine running catch made and right by Ender Inciarte. They are covering everything tonight. Arizona cruising. We are off to the 7th. With the Yankees, Mets, and Cardinals. Every Friday night is Friday Night Fireworks, and kids can run the bases every Sunday. The weekend's a perfect time to catch a ball game here in Atlanta. Go to Braves.com/tickets today and plan your visit with us here at Turner Field. A.J. Pollock goes to work. Edwin Jackson, the second Atlanta pitcher, 4 up, 4 down for Edwin, who debuts tonight. 55th different player used by the Braves this season.
94 on that last fastball. Sinker there, 2-seamer. And he has shown a good slider.
And he just struck out Pollock. Jackson now with 3 strikeouts in an inning and 2/3. And a good start to his 7th inning.
Backup slider.
Goldschmidt 1 for 3. And has scored a run. A strike. I guess the bigger question at this juncture of the game with it 6-0 is, what if Mike Foltynewicz? 6 more runs allowed by Mike in his 4 2/3 innings this evening. At times he's had flashes of brilliance. Other times that 97-mile-an-hour fastball's been hit very, very hard.
Well, tonight I know he gave up 6 runs, but I didn't feel like he pitched that poorly. He gave up 9 hits. There were some that sounded like they got hit with a sponge. He had the pop-up that dropped in the first inning that led to a run. I know there was a home run hit. I know there were 3 straight singles to start the 5th inning. None were hit hard, and then a couple of sac flies. So it's going to look like and it does look like an ugly line tomorrow. Just keep working there, Edwin. Man. Making it look easy. There's a slider, perfectly placed. But for Foltynewicz, it's an ugly line that didn't appear that ugly to me, because he was working quickly. He was using his fastball, curve, slider, and occasionally that slider was a bit of a cement mixer. But it is frustrating because of that big arm.
These are some of the growing pains that John Smoltz was talking about when he joined us on the TV side here the other night. He went through plenty of similar outings that Foltynewicz did, including during that 91 season. Remember, he was 2-11 at one point that year, and then got red hot in the second half of the season. Two balls, no strikes. And so the hard part is for Foltynewicz, you're trying to learn on the job against the best hitters on the planet. And any little mistake you make is going to be a costly mistake at this level. But for his growth, and I would think the growth of the franchise, running him out there every 5th day and see what happens.
It seems like right now it's kind of every other start is really pretty good. So he'll be due for a good one when he pitches again in San Diego.
Edwin Jackson's looking very good in his 2 innings and a 1/3 worth of work. We have hit the 7th inning stretch. And in all of our special home games, we welcome Timothy Miller to the center of the Turner Field Diamond. He'll perform another terrific rendition of God Bless America before a big house tonight as the Braves and Diamondbacks meet in Game 2 of this 3-game series on an absolutely perfect night for baseball in Atlanta.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the lights from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless
Bottom of inning number 7. We'll be hanging out with our pal Mac Honey and our fantastic Delta Airlines flight crew tomorrow after our ball game. Long trip. We head to San Diego for a date with the Padres out at the ballpark which dare not speak its name. Then we're off to Chicago for a 4-game series with the Cubs, and then back here to Atlanta. Back to our AT&T U-verse trivia question. Patrick Corbin had 178 strikeouts in 2013. He was an all-star that year. Name the last Diamondback pitcher to strike out 200 or more.
I'm going to go with Ian Kennedy.
You are?
Yeah.
I like the Brandon Webb one, but I think he made too much, pitch to contact too much. So I'm going to say Randy Johnson.
Doggone it.
Dan Herron. He was traded for Dan Herron. Was Patrick Corbin.
And it wasn't just 200. Struck out 223 in 229 innings. However, the team record belongs to your Mr. Johnson. 290 in 245 innings.
Wow. No balls and a strike.
Dan Herron was 3rd. Ian Kennedy 4th. Brandon Webb 5th.
How about Corbin? Pitch count of 75 now. They'd like to limit him to 90 to 95.
So he could pitch 12, 13 innings.
He's had a couple of 6-7 pitch innings tonight. At least it seems 1-6, 1-10 pitch inning. And 4 pitches takes care of Johnny Gomes.
He's dealing, and he's had that pitch whenever he wanted it tonight. Down and in. He's used it on Garcia. He's used it here on Gomes. He's used it on the lefties.
Well, Randy Johnson used to call that slider Mr. Snappy. Remember?
Yeah.
As Garcia got a cookie and didn't miss it.
Mr. Snappy was Mr. Hangy right there.
Yeah. 3rd Atlanta in.
That one laid up there, and you can see Corbin throw his head down in disgust for leaving it upstairs.
But these are, I think, important pitches, important roadblocks or obstacles for a pitcher coming back from Tommy John to overcome. Deep in the game, pitching with a big lead, executing your pitches when you're tired. This is what, his 8th start since coming back from injury?
Correct.
So these are all little mileposts for Patrick Corbin.
And that's a good point. With a 6-run lead, he's not just throwing fastballs. Fastball, fastball.
He's been awfully impressive tonight. As Nick Swisher hits with a man aboard and 1 out. No balls, 2 strikes. Strike 3 inside corner. We told you earlier tonight that Corbin is not afraid to pitch inside. 8 strikeouts.
PNC Bank box track shows it was inside. Season high is 10 strikeouts. That was in that game where he went 7 innings against Milwaukee.
That's also his career high. He's ahead of Anderson Simmons. Mets have tied it up 3-3. Mets and Pirates 7th inning in New York. high outside corner. He is painting. Downstairs, Chan tells us that Juan Uribe hit a home run for the Mets. Boy, he's been a huge difference maker for them.
He really has. He's been just great.
One-two pitch. Just inside. The Mets have a 4.5 game lead over the Nationals. Washington plays in San Francisco shortly. Gio Gonzalez and Jake Peavy, the pitchers tonight. Two. Straighten him up inside, full count.
Giants had to put Angel Pagan on the disabled list again, and I'm not so sure but what Gregor Blanco isn't a better player right now. He came in again, stepped in, made a great catch last night, a couple more hits. He's playing terrific for the Giants.
Runner goes, pitch missed inside. First time Corbin had gone to a full count, and Simmons walks with 2 outs.
And he's walked 2, and it's been Anderson both times.
So Mike Harkey will come out and give Corbin a breather for a moment. 87 pitches for the young left-hander. You figure this will be his final inning. You know Harkey would like to see him finish it in good form. And but Jackson's fate rests in the hands of Lavarnway. Braves had Ross Detweiler up and throwing a little bit earlier. With you again tomorrow afternoon. Braves live at 1 o'clock. Braves and Diamondbacks wrap up the series here at Turner Field. Ruby De La Rosa will pitch for the Diamondbacks, and Shelby Miller will take another crack at a win for the Braves. And then we're off to San Diego. Lavarnway had a 5th inning double that stopped a streak of 9 consecutive hitters retired by Patrick Corbin tonight. And in the dirt, ball 1.
David Hernandez and Keith Hessler up in the pen for the Snakes. Hernandez is the right-hander.
Two balls, no strikes.
Might be a distraction for Corbin having to look back at second base. The only second time he's had to do that tonight. And that was briefly after Lavarnway doubled with 2 out in the 5th.
All of a sudden he can't throw a strike. Yuri Perez is in the on deck circle. If Lavarnway can reach, he'd pinch hit for Edwin Jackson. Bases are loaded with 2 outs. So it's a 6-run lead. Does Chip Hale go and get Corbin, or does he let the left-hander try to finish things off with a Braves pinch hitter coming up? He's at 91 pitches.
That's something to be as sharp as he's been all night long and then hit a wall.
And that's your answer. So with 2 outs, back-to-back walks will end the night for Patrick Corbin. Boy, was he impressive. 8 strikeouts over 6 2/3 innings. He allowed just 3 Atlanta hits.
And with the lumber is Jace Peterson and also Cameron Maybin going back-to-back with the triples. Big-time action, got the Braves going, energized the dugout, and really kept everything going. Matter of fact, it kind of keeps the debate going in the dugout.
Jace got to third base pretty fast. Who got there quicker?
I was going to finish it for you. I got there faster, right? I mean, I thought that's where you were going to go with it. Jace got there fast, but I got there faster. I think we can all 50 people in this locker room right now can agree on that. But you know, that's my guy. He's a confident guy. He's going to tell you different. But again, man, I like his confidence. That's all I can say.
So that ongoing discussion on the quickest Braves will continue. Hopefully we can get Jace and Cameron back up to the plate this inning. Of course, we got to get the pinch hitter to do a little something here, Chip.
Yeah, Andre, it's a good call. Bases loaded for the Braves with 2 outs, and David Hernandez is on for the 22nd time in relief for Arizona this year.
He's coming off Tommy John surgery, just activated in early June. That's why he only has 21 games on his ledger so far. But he's been a real valuable part of their bullpen up until the time he got hurt. Fastball in the mid-90s with a real good slider. And he inherits the bases loaded.
Hernandez, 30 years old, out of Elk Grove, California. Was originally with the Orioles. They traded him, or got him, I should say, for Mark Reynolds. 2010 season, and it'll be Joey Turdoslavich to pinch hit.
Joey's been on a good run. His last 3 hits have been doubles, and they've come in the last 2 games. And a good hack at that pitch.
Nothing in 2. Hernandez 8 out of 17 of retiring first batters. He has walked 3 men in that situation, but he's way ahead here with 2 strikes. And Joey stays alive. Garcia, Simmons, Lavarnway, the Atlanta runners. Braves trying to dent the scoreboard. They're down 6-0 in the 7th. And way high. Good eye. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Love to see Joey get something down in the zone, preferably down and in.
Swing and a miss. And that retires the side. Braves load the bases with 2 outs, but are unable to break through. And we head to the 7th, or end of the 8th, I should say. It's 6-0 Arizona. Secure your seats for opening day 2016 exclusively through the 2016 opening day 4-game plan. The plan comes with tickets to opening day next year, along with 3 great weekend matchups in 2015 against the Yankees, Mets, and Cardinals. This is a limited time offer, so get your 2016 opening day 4-game plan at Braves.com/4game today.
I have not heard who the Braves will play in the opening series next year, but I do understand we're playing the American League Central in interleague play next year.
So we'll have dates with the Royals, Twins, Tigers, White Sox, and Indians in some form or fashion. As you see, Ross Detweiler, he's the 3rd Atlanta pitcher of the night.
Boy, after some good work by Edwin Jackson in his Braves debut, Jackson 2 1/3 innings of no hit, no run ball, and he struck out 4. Detweiler's 13th outing, as you see. Did not pitch in Tampa.
First pitch swing by Aaron Hill, who pops one to right. Nick Markakis has all kinds of room to make the play, and he does. 1 out.
Ross pitched in 3 of the 4 games against Miami here at Turner Field before that quick trip down to Tampa. 1 1/3 innings of 1 hit shutout ball.
1 pitch, 1 out. Here's Jake Lamb. He's had a good night tonight. 2 hits, including an RBI double. As part of the Diamondbacks' 3-run 5th. All the runs tonight charged to Mike Fultonevich. Unfortunately for him. And a ball low. 1 ball, no strikes. Diamondbacks have a couple of good looking rookie players. Lamb, one of them. Yasmani Tomas, the other. Lamb 7th among National League rookies in batting average. 10th in multi-hit games. He's got 5 triples. He's 8th in on-base percentage. And he's shown a very strong, accurate arm at third base. One ball, 2 strikes. Broken bat, right back to the mound. Easy play for Ross, and he made it. 2 out.
I was just looking at the box score on this Red Sox Mariners game. Red Sox had 26 hits for their 22 runs. They had three guys that had 3 hits.
Okay.
They had 2 guys that had 4 hits. And Jackie Bradley Jr. went 5 for 6 with 3 doubles and 2 homers.
Oh, wow.
5 hits, and he drove in 7 runs.
So 14 total bases, 7 RBIs, 5 extra base hits.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good day.
Yeah. And they did all that against King Felix. He gave up 10 of the runs.
Felix has had a couple of games like that this year. Not as bad as today, but I think he had one back in Seattle a couple of weeks ago that was way below his normally excellent standards.
Well, this one was 2 1/3, 12 hits, 10 runs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts.
Wow. Two quick strikes for Saltalamacchia. 2 quick outs in the 8th inning. 6-0 Arizona.
And I believe Jesus Sucre used to be in the Braves organization, catcher. He worked the last inning. 5 hits, 3 runs.
Ooh.
Not a good day for the old Mariners.
1 ball, 2 strikes. It's got to be tough enough to be a position player coming into pitch, but to do it at Fenway Park with the green monster brushing up against your right shoulder, good luck with that. Wow. Two and 2. And popped up a mile high. Lavarnway will not have a play. And we'll do it again. Just in and out of the glove of the Braves catcher. He couldn't hang on to it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. In the air toward right. Markakis on the run. That's over his head. That'll bounce off the fence. And Saltalamacchia has the 10th Arizona hit of the game. A ringing 2-out double.
Oh, big high breaking ball that stayed high. Saltalamacchia's hit the ball hard 3 times tonight. That's the first time he's had a hit to show for it.
So he's at second for Chris Owings, who had an RBI ground out in the 4th inning. That was the hard hit ball to Garcia that he just couldn't get out of his glove quickly enough to turn a double play. And that cost Fultonevich his 3rd run of the night. And downstairs for Owings, 1 ball, no strikes. By the way, tip of the cap to Matt Kemp. He did something last night that had never been done for the Padres before. The first player in Padre history to hit for the cycle. It only took him 7,444 games.
Goodness.
For a player to hit a single, double, triple, and homer in the same game. And Kemp had the toughest of the 4 hits. Complete the cycle. He got the triple in his last time up. Two balls, no strikes. Padres Media Relations Department did some research. 361 times a player was 1 hit away from the cycle. And of those 361 times, 258 of them, the player needed the triple to complete the cycle. That's inside, ball 4 to Owings. And the Diamondbacks will go to the bench and pinch hit for Hernandez. And it's Jamie Romack, the former Braves farmhand. Romack pinch hit in the 6th inning last night and grounded out. So Corbin and Hernandez struck out a combined 9 Braves tonight. Corbin had 8 of them. And now Romack swings and misses, strike 1. Arizona got a first inning run on a David Peralta RBI single. They got 2 in the 4th, 3 in the 5th. Kessler back up in the Arizona pen. He'll be next for the Braves' 8th inning. Edwin Jackson debuted and was very impressive for the Braves in relief. 4 strikeouts in his 2 1/3 worth of work. Now Detweiler a strike away from sending it to the home 8th.
Well located 94 fastball. Best pitch in the game.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Pretty close.
Can't believe he didn't swing at it. PNC Bank shows it was off the plate.
Swing and a miss. That'll end the inning. Detweiler works a scoreless top of the 8th. Wherever you are with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or your tablet. New pitcher for the Diamondbacks is the pride of Coastal Carolina University, left-hander Keith Hessler.
Mid-90s fastball and a slider. Just getting his big league career going, his 4th appearance. Given up a couple runs already, but a chance for him to get his feet under him here with a 6-run lead. Coastal Carolina, the home of the Chanticleers.
The Chanticleers. It's a great college nickname, isn't it?
I'm not sure what the Chan is, but it's probably a good one.
No, you can't spell Shan without C-H-A-N. Jace Peterson leads things off. Jace had a tough time with Patrick Corbin, but he had plenty of company in that regard. Corbin struck out 8 men. He got Peterson twice. And Hessler missed outside, ball 1. At the knees. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Peterson's down and swinging for a 3rd time tonight. 1 away.
10 strikeouts for the Braves. That's something they have not done much of lately. But a hat trick for Jace.
Cameron has singled and has grounded out to second twice. Hill robbed him of a hit, though, the last time he was up. So Cameron 1 for 3 in the game. And he takes a strike. Driven toward left. Peralta on the run will play that on a hop shy of the track. Maben around first. He's chugging for second. And he's going to be safe. Ball had him beat. Somehow Maben got in. Maybe the ball was dropped. I couldn't see. But he's at second with 1 out.
Might have given him the old swim move, too. And they had to relay it. The ball came into Owings, and then he relayed it to Hill. Breaking ball, ripped. He's thinking 2 all the way, but Peralta got it in quickly. Rowe beat him by a mile, but the tag went to the first base side of the bag. Cameron stayed in contact.
Wow.
Left hand, right foot, then the left foot.
Wow. And the fingertips, too. Look at this.
Pretty nice. Good camera work.
16 doubles for Maben. Another multi-hit game for him. Now we'll see if Markakis can break the shutout bid. It's 6-0 here at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour in Atlanta. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. To center, but right at Puck. And 2 are out for Johnny Gomes.
Might be the longest 0 for stretch of the year for Nick Markakis. He's 0 for 10.
Johnny's looking for his first hit of the series. He's 0 for 5 with a couple of walks. One ball, no strikes. Arizona trying for its 9th shutout this year. The Braves have already been blanked 11 times this season. Two balls, no strikes.
Benefit of the doubt on that one.
Same spot, same call. 2-2.
Kessler's made quite a jump this year. He started at Visalia in A ball, went to Double-A Mobile, Triple-A Reno, 4-2 with a 168 overall for those 3 stops. But to go from A ball to the big leagues in 1 year, that's a pretty good move.
Gomes works a full count now. Adonis Garcia is next. Braves had a chance to get on the scoreboard last inning. They loaded the bases with 2 outs. And Gomes shoots one up the middle. There's a hit. Here comes Maven around third. He's going to score without a throw. And Johnny Gomes does break the shutout bid. Atlanta scores an 8th inning run to make it a 6-1 game.
Worked the count full. Got a fastball up. Smoked it up the middle. Like a knuckleball up there. He hit it so solidly.
So 5 hits for the Braves tonight. 2 of them in this inning. And here's Garcia. He singled last time up. And he takes the ball. Swing and a drive, belted left center and deep. That ball is off the base of the wall. Here comes Gomes around third. He's getting green lighted. There'll be no throw. Garcia doubles home a run. It's 6-2. That guy can hit.
Yeah, he can. 7th RBI for him. Fastball to him. Got the barrel on it. And right at the base of the wall. Johnny Gomes picking him up and laying him down right here.
So Chip Hale's not going to mess around with 2 in, 1 on, and 2 outs. He's going to go to the bullpen for a 3rd time tonight. Braves giving the home fans a finish. 6-2 in the 8th. And 2 men out. 3 hits in the 8th inning. And the Braves try to complete a big comeback in Game 2 tonight. Another game with the Diamondbacks here tomorrow. In fact, here are our upcoming schedules for the Braves. One more with the Diamondbacks here in Atlanta. Then Monday, Tuesday against the Padres. Join us at 9:30 Eastern Time for Braves Live. Those games on Sports South. Then first pitch shortly after 10 o'clock Eastern Time from San Diego.
Daniel Hudson pitched here last night. He pitched the 8th inning, gave up a hit, but no damage. If you weren't with us last night, Chip telling you about how he has bounced back from 2 Tommy John surgeries. And they were in back-to-back years. When he was trying to come back, he tore it immediately after recovering from the first one.
Nick Swisher hits, man at second, 2 outs. You know, I was thinking about this last night. I don't know if Hudson's going to stay in the bullpen or if he'll go back and be a starter. But if he can come back like Patrick Corbin comes back, how about that 1-2 with De La Rosa as a number 3 guy in that mix?
That'd be very big for them. Cut down on their search. His velocity's come back. It's about getting some location. He's in the upper 90s with a slider and a change.
So my question is, what's more difficult for a guy like Hudson to do? Pitch 3-4 times a week out of the bullpen and get up and down, or pitch every 5th day with 70-80 pitches?
Yeah, I would think they'd be able to control it a little better if he's in the rotation.
2 balls, no strikes for Swisher. 6-2 Arizona now, and launched down a play foul. A ringing double by Adonis Garcia, the second of his 2 hits tonight. And his 7th RBI has made it a 4-run game. And now 2-1 pitch. Swing and a drive deep toward right. Swisher hits the foul pole. It's a 2-run homer.
Fastball, he nailed it. He watched it, needed a little body English on it, and way up the tape.
His last homer was May 27th against the Texas Rangers. His first as a Brave makes it a 2-run game, and now this crowd really into the ball game. It was 6-0 Arizona. The Braves have scored 4 times in the home 8th. And all of this coming with 2 out. 1 ball, no strikes for Andrelton Simmons.
And with 2 outs and on the heels of that play at second base where Maben was able to swim around the tag. Otherwise, Markakis' fly ball out would have been the end of the inning.
Need another base runner. Chappelle needs a Tums. He had a 6-0 lead with 2 outs in this inning. It's now 6-4. Ground ball up the middle. Kicked. Simmons is safe. The normally impenetrable Arizona defense just gave the Braves a chance to tie the game in the 8th inning. The 3rd error by Owings this year.
I thought he was going to be able to gobble this up, but he may have looked up a little too soon also. And then literally kicked it. Just didn't close his glove.
Lavarnway has a double tonight. He's the tying run. Who would have thought that in this 8th inning? We've seen this, Joe, all year long.
All year long. No matter what the score, the Braves were trailing. They figured out a way to have a shot at it late in the ball game.
Wagano strikes. Letter high, even count. The umpires in the crowd thought that was up.
High strike, but called correctly by Dan Bellino.
Now it's 1-2. Michael Bourne has grabbed a bat. If Lavarnway can reach, he would hit for Detweiler.
Just in case Vizcaino begins to loosen up.
Now the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. And that'll retire the side. But what a 2-out rally in the Atlanta 8th. 4-run score. The big blow. Nick Swisher's 2-run homer off the foul pole at right. We got a way go, as my partner might say.
Atlanta Braves and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
It's turned out to be a nice ball game. Braves still have some work to do, down 2 runs as we head to the 9th inning. Nick Swisher's first homer as a Brave has made it a 2-run affair. It's 6-4 now. As Jake Brigham strides in. We told you about Edwin Jackson being the 55th player to don a Braves uniform this season. Well, 13 Braves have made their major league debuts this year, and Jake Brigham's one of those 13.
Well, Edwin Jackson was outstanding tonight. Part of a good effort by the Braves bullpen. So far, they've worked 3 1/3 innings of 1-hit shutout ball to give the Braves offense a chance to get close. Now that they're within 2, it's vitally important for Jake to have a good inning hold them down, a shutdown inning after the 4-run 8th for Atlanta, and get the offense right back up there.
5 straight scoreless appearances for Brigham since he's come back from the minor leagues. He first pitched in his second stint when the Braves were in Philadelphia. He last pitched on the 9th, 2 innings of 1 hit relief against the Marlins. He's got the top of the order. Inciarte leads off and takes a strike. Good crowd on a Saturday night in Atlanta. Over 29,000 paid to see this one. 29,624 to be exact. Two balls and a strike.
Don't lose him.
Inciarte thought that was ball 4. Instead, he faces a full count.
Boy, had some late movement on it. Pitch right at the bottom of the zone.
Ender Inciarte. He's 1 for 4 tonight. He now has a hit in his last 10 games started. He'll try to get on in front of Pollock and Goldschmidt, who will hit next. And he lost the leadoff man. A walk on a 3-2 pitch. So Inciarte with 11 stolen bases, a man you have to worry about. As the Diamondbacks look for insurance. They lead by 2. And here's Pollock. Ripped foul back. 0-1. Pollock 2 more hits tonight. He's scored a couple of runs.
Good all-around player.
He leads their team in runs scored with 79 in 111 games. Pop fly, that's headed for the stands, out of play to the left. And Brigham's way ahead, 0-2. Got hit with an 0-2 pitch. So a walk and a hit batsman. Now you've got big trouble.
Boy, that was close. Good thing for A.J. Pollock that he turned the way he did and got that shoulder up in the way of the pitch. It allowed him to get his face out of the way. That was very close.
So Brigham puts a hurting on Pollock. Goldschmidt will try to return the favor. 2 on, nobody out. He's 1 for 4, a single, a run scored, and 3 strikeouts.
Needs a double play ball, and you said earlier that he's one of the leaders on their teams in double plays. He's in double digits, I think.
10 of them. And there's a strike.
Got to shut this down. Braves will have a pinch hitter, and then the top of the order, and the pinch hitter most likely would be Michael Bourne leading off the inning. So got to pitch a 0 here.
Double steal. Throw to third late. I thought I heard somebody scream that's a balk. It might have been Dave McKay, the first base coach. It certainly wasn't the umpires. And now the Diamondbacks have runners at second and third with nobody out, and a 1-2 count for Goldschmidt.
Big chance there by Inciarte with Goldschmidt up. Trailing runners got to keep an eye on the guy in front. Pollock runs great, so he was off to the races too.
So the infield comes in, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And LeVarnway blocked that. So 12 steals for Inciarte. Pollock now 29 stolen bases. And a golden opportunity for Arizona to add to the lead.
Now you're wondering, well, why are they pitching to Goldschmidt? Well, they had a 1-2 count on him. They had a chance to get it out there, and they still do. Count goes to 3-2. Maybe that changes. We'll see. But with 2 strikes, they're hoping, he's already struck out 3 times tonight, that he'll chase a bad ball.
Right back where it came from, into center field, and a hit. Inciarte scores. Pollock gets waved around. And Paul Goldschmidt now has 86 RBIs, and that's a backbreaker. A walk, a hit batsman, and now a single to center, and that's going to end the night for Jake Brigham. So his 5-game run of scoreless relief work ends in the top of the 9th tonight.
This is just strength. This is just a big man fighting off a pitch. Barely got to the infield dirt, and he gets 2 ribbies. But again, don't call him just a slugger, all or nothing slugger. He's a really good hitter.
Arizona 8, Atlanta 4. Goldschmidt does it again. Beginning Thursday, September 3rd, when former Michigan quarterback Jim Harbaugh makes his debut as the head coach of his alma mater and leads the Wolverines against the Utes, the Utah Utes. And the only place you can see it is on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Every time I hear the Utah team name, I think of the Judge and my cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
The two Utes will take on the Michigan Wolverines.
Well, a rough night for Jake Brigham. He did not retire a batter. 2 runs in, runner at first for Matt Marksberry, who makes his first appearance since that game down in Tampa, where he got knocked around. 2/3 of an inning, 4 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned.
David Peralta is the batter. I know it's a non-save situation, and I don't want to sound like I'm second guessing, but it was interesting to see that Vizcaino was up and pitching in the bullpen when the Braves were rallying. You could say bring Vizcaino in, hope he has a good inning, and give your team a chance to win the game in the 9th inning. No, but Freddie's playing it. The only time he comes in is to try to.
He got him up because the tying run was at the plate. If LaBarnway hits the ball out of the ballpark and the inning ends in a tie, then you bring your closer in at home. If they didn't tie it up, then it was going to be Brigham.
Brigham and now Marksberry. And a 4-run game, 8-4 your score. That's way high. 2 balls and no strikes as we've reached 10 o'clock in Atlanta. Arizona led 6-0 until the 8th inning. Braves scored 4. But the Diamondbacks have gotten 2 of those 4 back right here in the 9th. And now Marksberry's wild. 3 balls, no strikes. Mets 3, Pirates 3, bottom of the 10th inning. New York has the leadoff man on, trying to win at home over the Buccos. The Giants will face the Nationals. First pitch in 5 minutes at AT&T Park. 4.5 games separate first and second in the National League East. Count to Peralta, who's had a super night tonight. 3 RBIs, including a homer. And we'll do it again. 3-2.
Varnway's been strafed back there to behind the plate tonight.
And that missed inside. Ball 4. So 2 walks in the 9th inning for the Braves relief corps. Goldschmidt to second. And here's Aaron Hill. So young Matt Marksberry, the first member of the Braves 2013 draft class to get to the big leagues. Has 2 on, nobody out. Aaron Hill, a sac fly and an RBI. He's also scored a run. And a strike. Double play ball. Simmons to Peterson for 1. That was slick. Runner to third, 2 out.
Fed it to him from where he caught it. Didn't waste time standing up. Perfect feed.
So Goldschmidt 90 feet away, but 2 outs, and Jake Lamb the hitter. Strike one. First National League final is in tonight. Cardinals beat the Marlins 6-2. That was Brad Hand and John Lackey in St. Louis. Cardinals beat him yesterday 3-1.
Brad Hand beats the Braves, but nobody else.
Nothing in 2 to Lamb, and a ground ball to Swisher at first. He's got it, and he'll take it to the bag himself, and that will retire the side. After the walk, Marksberry got a double play and a ground out to first to send our game to the home ninth. Braves have some work to do tonight and some work to do tomorrow in the series wrap-up. 2 talented youngsters get after it in Game 3 of the series, and our starters presented by Chevron.
Shelby Miller, one more time, looking for that 6th win of the year. His ERA still under 2.5. Will go against the big winner for the Diamondbacks so far on the year, Ruby De La Rosa, at 10-5. First right-handed starter for them in this series. 1 o'clock will be on the air with Braves Live, and first pitch at 1:35.
De La Rosa with 10 wins despite allowing 25 home runs this year. So it's Brad Ziegler on for game number 50. He's the Arizona closer. The lead too big for him to save it tonight, but he gets some work with a 4-run lead, and he'll face Michael Bourne to lead off the 9th inning.
Ziegler's got a string of 18 straight saves too, even though this one won't count against him. I was just watching Saul LaMacchia. He's had a little trouble with throwing the ball back to the pitcher. He just tried to give Ziegler a new baseball and threw it over his head.
You see one of the things that makes Ziegler so tough. He's got that peekaboo delivery and a sidearm, side winding action. And fouled away by Bourne, even count.
One of the rare guys in baseball today that closes games and doesn't come close to 90 miles an hour. Mid-80s with a slider. Change up in the high 70s.
High hopper out to second, and Bourne is retired. Ziegler, another guy coming back from serious injury. He had microfracture surgery on his left knee last September 9th. Was a terrific pitcher for a while with the A's. This is his 4th full season with the Diamondbacks. Originally drafted and signed by the Phillies. The A's signed him as a minor league free agent, and then was traded to the Diamondbacks at the deadline in 2011 for infielder Brandon Allen and left-handed pitcher Jordan Norberto.
I mean, he's really a throwback to Kent Colby. Not quite as submarine as Dan Quisenberry, but close.
When Ziegler pitched last year in save opportunities, he wasn't very good. He was 1 for 9 in save chances. Another chance at second, and Hill makes the play for the second out. And it's up to Cameron Maybin to keep the game alive for the Braves here in the ninth. Maybin's had a good night, 2 for 4, including a run and a double in the 8th inning. Ziegler got the left-handed batters easily. He's got the righty up there. Righties are 13 for 90 against him this year, a 144 average. That dropped in for a strike.
Right-hander problems stem mostly from his slider, which will almost break up from the angle he throws it.
That was a good pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, he humped up 84.
To third. Lamb's got it. And the Diamondbacks have beaten the Braves tonight 8-4. They had a 6-0 lead, nearly let it slip away, and then 2 in the top of the 9th made it a 4-run deficit, and that's the final score. Arizona 8, Atlanta 4. Series tied at a game apiece. We'll play the rubber match here in Atlanta tomorrow afternoon. First things first, we'll take a break, come back and recap Game 2 for you right after this.